I shall tell you the story of Philo Farnsworth, 1908. In the rural West, he was interested in electrons and how radios worked. At the age of 14, while plowing his field, the lines on the field and how they made an image, and it was then that he realized that the same principles for radio could be used to transmit an image. There's over 1 billion television sets in the world. More television sets than there are homes with running water. There are places in this world where television is ran on old car batteries, where people have no electricity, no running water, but they have televisions. People would meet together in their small towns and just tell stories. And they would meet together in their homes and they would talk to each other, and there was a sense of community, a sense of understanding, a sense of family. These signals are broadcasted. They bounce in every direction, to the east, to the west, to the north, to the south. They also hit the ground and bounce into space, where they are hit and collected into satellites. Not all of those messages get collected in the satellite. They continue onward into space for eternity. What will future generations think of us when they receive these messages millions of light years from now? Racism continues, wars continue, people continue to starve and grow hungry and die. Has television radically affected our education? People are still ignorant. People still cannot read, cannot function. Has television cured us of all of our social ills? What has become of our culture? We had a family, we had community, we had stories, and we had legends, and we had history. We had the spirit of, and it was taken from us, and in return we were given a new history and a new community and a new family. 20 years. My parents lived in the same house. They spoke to their neighbors twice. Once the day they moved in, and once the neighbors moved out. 2 days in the course of 20 years they spoke to their neighbors. They lived in a box, and in that box, their car was in a box. In that box, they drove to a driveway, which stayed in a box. And in that box, they watched a box. And they had a fence around their box. And they put a shrine around their box. And they worshipped their shrine. They paid homage to their shrine. They did everything the shrine told them to do, and they never questioned it. And the brilliance, they never even knew they had a false religion. They never knew of their blasphemy. They never understood what they had become. The original days of television, I'm talking 1950s, when television was this new medium. It was a spectacle within itself. The world was so different. Live television. Actors were in it for the craft. The shows were written by the studio, and they were performed by the actors within a week. They were memorized. There were no cuts to commercial. When they had commercials, they were live commercials. The news was live. The advertisement was live. The acting was live. It was a medium that was alive. And as a result of its aliveness, it was edgy, it was community, it was a craft. It had so much potential.
It's okay.
An individual, okay, dark skin, put it that way. He gets into a car, steals the car, and there's sort of a fight scene, okay? I used it to show racial stereotypes, and this was just last year. But you know what happened was a week later it hit me, and it hit me so hard, and I realized how well I had been deceived. I thought I was an intellectual. I thought I go to the University of Oregon. I know something about the world. But what I didn't realize was that we shouldn't have been upset about the racism. That was a given. We should have been upset about the violence. What does that say about humanity? That no one in a school of higher education even noticed the violence.
Thousands of
And yet television has done many good things. It has broadened people's minds. It has given them education when none was possible. It has presented to them things they would have never received any other way. It has taken people places they would never have gone. It has made them connected with people they would never see. It has shown them the depths of the ocean, the expanse of space, the finite nature of the universe. It has been like wheat and tares, and it's the sifting. It's the putting your hand in a bucket of muck and filth and garbage and manure and reaching all the way to the end of the bucket, all the way up to your neck, and maybe you'll find the diamond, maybe you'll find the emerald, maybe you'll find the gold coin or the gold ring. It's the sifting through the garbage that is required today. It's the well-rehearsed, manufactured image that tells us everything about what we are supposed to think of ourselves. Think of ourselves. Think of ourselves. Think of ourselves. Telling us the lie that we're not good enough or smart enough or fast enough. That we'll never be as good as a well-rehearsed production. That our lives are never going to be as good. Is this trip necessary? Is this trip necessary? Is this trip necessary?